Welcome to Good Success with Dr. Bill Bennett.
You'll never, ever, ever walk into destiny without being at least three things. And one of them is a man of conviction. It doesn't matter whether it's in my faith, my family, my finances, my fitness. I choose to go the right way. But we got a God that'll turn it around, that'll cover you, that'll heal you, that'll lift you, that'll strengthen you. Can you think back on some stuff that he brought you through? If he did it before, he'll do it again.
Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. The 37th chapter of Ezekiel. I want to read just one verse of that book. Verse 17 says, "Then join them one to another for yourself into one stick, and they will become one in your hand." I want to talk about the power of one. The power of one. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. I had the opportunity after almost 50 years, maybe 40 to be exact, to go by the place where my hero of the faith, Martin Luther King Jr., was assassinated and was slain. I don't know if it was intentional of me not going to the Lorraine Motel or if it was just providence. But this week I put it on my schedule to go by the place where Martin Luther King Jr., the hero of my life, the person who has inspired me to be in ministry at all, and to have a social consciousness to understand the social ramifications of the gospel and to embrace that work and that life. And I went there, and I want to tell you that my mind now is swirling all around to try to encapture, try to embrace that movement in a 2-hour window. And to know at 39 years old, in his prime, slain by a would-be killer, in the midst of a country that's plagued and polluted by racism and injustice, one who came trumpeting the faith, one who stood on the principles and the ideals and the philosophy of Jesus Christ and Mahatma Gandhi, the one who gave his life, sacrificed his family, his career, and slain by a bullet in the neck. Laid slain our leader. In essence, not trying to deify him, but in essence, our Jesus. Not of Nazareth, but Martin of Atlanta. And to see the movement, to see the buses, to see the people, to see the deaths, the murders, to see the sacrifice. 50-some years, place where I was born in the Delta of Mississippi, where more cotton was picked than anywhere in the world. and not only help build America, to build Europe. And here we are. And I just thought about how we are now. We are on the brink of another civil war because of the hostility and the anger and the hate, the racial divide within our country now easily can tip over and cause a catastrophic event to happen on American soil. Don't believe just because we've enjoyed these last 56 years that it's always have been like this. You need to go back and take a panoramic view over history to find out it ain't always been where we were able to sleep in the same hotels and eat in the same restaurants and have the same jobs. It ain't always been like this. And so all I left that place perplexed, but I found a peace that I could say that is well with my soul. That it's possible to live out the love ethic. It's possible to love your enemies as though they are your friends. It's possible to love those who don't look like you. But you got to have a strategic plan. It has allowed me to look at the 37th chapter of Ezekiel and to know what it means when a country is divided, when a nation is divided, when a people have began to move down this slippery slope of sin and a slope where we move from the sovereign, that we've so caught up in ourselves, our own ideas, our own ideology, our own philosophies, and we end up in a place where we lose all of our oneness. All of that which makes us unique, and I'm so glad. I don't know how you all feel about it, but I'm so glad, Dr. Bill Bennett, that God didn't make us the same. One humanity, but we're not the same. You can go to Africa and you can go to different countries that's in that great continent, and if you're in Ghana, the people in Ghana, they may be the same color of the people in Nigeria, but they're not the same. Their customs, their mores, their dance. What draws the person from Japan and China that makes, even though of the Asian peninsula, yet what draws us is not our skin. But what draws humanity together is our souls. Maybe that's what W.E.B. Du Bois was talking about, the souls of black men. But not only of black men, but of white men and yellow men and red. The soul, you're more than flesh. You more than decorated dust. You are a soul. That's what he did in Genesis. He created man from the dust of the ground, fashioned and shaped him and made him and put all kinds of stuff on him, hands, fingernails, eyes, eyelids. He did all of that. But the man was still not alive until he stooped down and kissed him in his mouth and breathed the breath of life. And the record is that man became a living soul. Yeah, that's why in our experience, we call him the soul man. Yeah, that's why we love soul music and soul food. That which you threw to us like you would hogs and pigs. You threw it to us as slop. And we turned slop into a supper. Supper into a dinner. Dinner into a delicatessen. Because we took that which you threw away like chicken feet and neck and intestines and made it a delicacy. And lived, didn't have high blood pressure and sugar diabetes. We lived long and we lived strong. It's amazing when you come together what you can become. When you become. Ezekiel it opens with the narrative that there is a people who are in captivity. They are in a place that's not their homeland. They've been here now 70 years. They're in a place called Babylon. They're under rulership of Nebuchadnezzar. They destroyed Jerusalem, burnt it down, and have taken the best and the brightest. And they've left the desperate and destitute and so-called the dumbest in Jerusalem because they don't want Jerusalem rebuilt. So they take the brightest and put them in captivity. They're there in Tel Aviv, in the valley, and they're in a state of depression. They're in a state of sorrow. They're in a state where they have no hope. They have no dreams. And now God sends a man. And I want to tell you, if you're ever going to have oneness, he's always going to send a man. Yes, I could stay there for a little while, but I'm going to hurry on because I know I ain't got time. But he always sent a man. This assignment, like your assignment, Bill. People didn't understand when the Lord moved on your heart 23 years ago and told you to go not far, but just across the way. And not a First Baptist or a Second Baptist or a third, but good success. I want your name to have meaning of your mission. I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and it was a church called I think it was either the Rahab Baptist or the Gomer Baptist. I believe your name ought to have meaning. It ought to match the mission. Yeah. I know it's a church for all people, but sometimes your name can say something that you're not. But I'm a living witness to 23 years that I've known William Bennett II. Good success matches the mission. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He empowers the masses. And so God sends a man. This man is in the valley, and he calls him Son of Man. He don't give him no certain name, but Son of Man. Son of Man, what you see? I want you to sit down 7 days and tell me what you see. And a leader, if we're going to have oneness, if we're going to have the power of oneness, we have to have a spirit of observation. Too many times we go in and just do stuff haphazardly. We do it because everybody else is doing it. But you got to sit down and study your situation. You got to know your terrain. And so he just 7 days sat and watched. Observation is the mother of all learning. You got everybody talking, all this noise around, noise everywhere. But sometimes we need to be quiet, to be silent, and to hear what God is trying to tell us. And 7 days, he said, and then the Lord comes back to him and tell me what you've seen. I see a lot of folk. They look desperate. They destitute. They're depressed. He said, but what do you think? Do you think that they can live? Is there any hope of a resurrection? can we have a real a resurrection of those who have lost their hope and have lost their goal of ever getting out of this situation? Can they come through 390 years of slavery? Can they come through Jim Crow? Can they come through segregation? Can they come through racism? Can they come in communities that's been labeled as ghettos? He said, Lord, only thou knowest. Only you know if they can live or not. And so most people take the narrative of him prophesying the wind coming and they coming together and so and the bones and all that kind of stuff. But that ain't what grabbed my attention. What grabbed my attention is, he said, take the stick of Judah and take the stick of Ephraim, put them in your hand and make them one. That's the sermon for real. Not all the noise in the valley, not all of the scattering and separation, not all of those trying to find their place in the marketplace, but I want you to follow me to the 17th verse and see if Judah and Ephraim can become one. The power of one. Can Bloods and Crips come together to be one? Can vice lords and gangster disciples come together to be one? Can churches in Northeast and Northwest and Southwest and Northeast and Southeast, can they come together to be one? Can churches in the National Baptist and Progressive and the American, we come together to be one? Well, y'all looking strange at me. What I know about church life, people who worship in the same place, sit on the same pew, don't speak to each other. So how can we get the community together when the church is not together? How can we walk as brothers and sisters when we don't like us at all? But I found the problem is the reason you don't like others, you don't like yourself. You got a self problem. Because people who hate other folk and don't have love, they've not learned how to love themselves. This is it right here. Jesus teaches us to love. It's imperative to do so, because if I love myself, I can love my enemy. If I love myself, I can love my friend. If I love myself, I can love my family. If I love myself, I can love my husband or my wife. Judah and Ephraim, put them in your hand. Now, there's something important about being in the hand of God. David had messed up and had counted the people, took a census and made God angry. God started killing folk. And I'm talking about up by the thousands. And David consulted God and asked God, God, please stop. Don't do this to the people. Don't destroy the people. You know, it's my fault. I'll take the blame. Whatever you need to do it to me. God said, I'll give you three choices. You can either be in the hand of nature, or you can be in the hand of man, or you can be in my hands. David said to himself, I can't be in the hand of nature. I've seen what tornadoes have done. I know what a hurricane looked like. I've seen a tsunami, a flood. I know what famine looks like. And God knows I don't want to be in the hand of man because I'm a man. I know what I did to Uriah. I had him murdered and took his wife. I know what a man can do. Joab killed my son. I know what a man can do. So whatever you do, don't put me in the hands of man. But God, whatever you do, I don't mind being in your hands. Because in your hands, even though you'll correct me, you still have compassion on me. Even though you discipline me, you won't allow me to be absent from your devotion. So God, whatever you do in your hands. And maybe that's what that lad that they felt like, Bill. I'm saying that lad, when the lad was there, had the lunch, nobody else had anything, but in the lad's hand, it was only a lunch. Jesus said, it's a lad. The disciples said, it's a lad, but he only got just a lunch just for himself. Jesus said, bring it to me. And when you put it, you know this to be true, but when you put it in God's hand, is anybody in here that ever had to put it in his hands? Oh, I know you ain't been through nothing, but when I've been down and out, when I've been going through trials and tribulations, I had to put it in his hand. Some folks say, well, go get some counseling. Need some. No, I need the Lord. Because there's some stuff that a counselor can't tell me that God can do. If you put it in his hand, put your life in his hand, put your marriage in his hand, put your family in his hand. In Ephraim, in Judah, after 80 years of togetherness under David and Solomon, kingdom split. And now, after the coming out, and I don't know where God is sending you, where he's taking you in this season, but I do know that you ain't got to fight with your membership about leadership vision. The people are one. Good success is one. You won this community because your love for people. We understand as pastors that there's no pastoral leadership without people. A preacher just said this the other day. Say it has nothing to do with the size of your building, the size of your plant, your ministry. He said the spirit of excellence has no size marked on it. Excellent ought to be at every place, at any time. And so the prophetic voice, the power of one, it happens with a Malcolm X. It happens with a Martin King. It happens with a William Bennett. When the man of God stands and opens his mouth with vision and with power and clarity to let the people know there is a bright side. Memphis is, you can't hardly walk outside at night. It's no longer the Klan that's lynching. It's black on black killing. In D.C., it's no longer white folk killing in our communities. We're killing each other, robbing grandmothers and shooting babies by drive-bys. Our young boys are intoxicated on alcohol and drugs. We're watching our community be in captivity. But I want you to know that there's a brighter day coming. You ain't got to worry. In the words of James Cleveland, this too shall pass. Weeping endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Sometimes it seems like every night is midnight. It seems like day will never come. But I want you to know that God is still in charge. He still sits high and look low. He still arranges the affairs of humanity. And even though we see where the children of Israel come out of captivity, right now in Tel Aviv we have murders and bombings in Gaza and warfare in planes and children and babies being murdered, being displaced. But God said it had to happen there. Because when you see the vultures circling the carcass, my time is almost here. And when you see a great falling away, let you know that my time is near. But when you hear impostors talking about I am the Christ, come over here and come over there. No, it's only one real thing. And so when you have a shepherd who is shepherding you and guiding you, you got to be careful that you hear his voice, because we are in perilous times now. And so I thought about how it was that Jesus got 12 men, and they were supposed to be one in the faith, one in the Father, and one in the fellowship. But sometimes friends will turn their back on you. Judas kisses Jesus with a kiss. His enemies capture him, have him go through a kangaroo court, tried an innocent man on trumped up charges, whipped him all night long, took his clothing off, marched him up Golgotha's hill, put nails in his hand on a cross, in his feet, crown of thorns on his head, and they murdered him, and they said it was over. He died like any natural man. They buried him, stayed there 3 days, 3 nights. But this is the key right here, Bill, that on the third day he rose, and he rose with all power. Not 5 had risen, but he rose. The power of one man. Don't leave here today thinking that you don't have power. We have power. We have Holy Ghost power. We have power to transform our communities. We have power to change our situations. We have power. Stop looking for others to do what you can do. You have the power because you're in his hand. Yeah.
Hey, this is Dr. Bill Bennett from Good Success Church in Washington, D.C., and I want to thank you for tuning into our broadcast. We pray that the message has been a blessing to you today. Listen, If you're ever in the D.C., Maryland, or Virginia area, we welcome you to come by and visit with us. I'm sure you'll be inspired by our services. And we're located at 4401 Sheriff Road Northeast in the Deanwood community of Washington, D.C. Listen, if you'd like more information about the church and all of the various things that we're doing, we'd love for you to give us a call at 202-398-3000, or you can certainly tune into our website at goodsuccesschurch.org, goodsuccesschurch.org, or you can certainly connect with us on all the social media platforms, Good Success Church DC, and we'd love to connect with you. Again, thanks for tuning in. God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you next week.